Sovereign silhouette, the emblem of Ambazonia. From the azure embrace of the Atlantic reflecting from the Ambas Bay, the iconic Fako Mountain ascends with a silent, stoic grace, carving a silhouette against the sky. This towering sentinel is more than a geographical marvel. It is the heart of southern Cameroons, the stoic guardian of Ambazonia, a symbol steadfast as the unyielding spirit manifests in the unity of the land's 13th counties. Encircling this earthen spire, a dove of peace edges its arc, untouched and serene. As it soars with wings unfurled, it casts shadows upon the land, each feather a brushstroke of tranquility. Against the canvas of the heavens, 13 stars glimmer, the celestial acknowledgement of each county's shared dreams and harmonious virtues. The dove, in its eternal flight, is not merely a bird, but an embodiment of the collective longing for a peaceful existence under a shared identity. Beneath the mountain top, firmly grounded in the richness of the earth, twin elephant tusks rise as natural monuments. Their arcs, regal and commanding, capture the noble essence of the land spirit animals. This emblem, this seal of Ambazonia, is no mere insignia. It is the beacon that illuminates the path to shared prosperity. It is an oasis of unity in a world parched by discord, a visual whisper of a nation's promise, echoing across generations. Every curve, every symbol within the emblem tells the story of southern Cameroons, an epic scripted by the enduring strength and unity of its communities. Each page imbued with the hopes and enduring spirit of its people. Sovereign silhouette, the emblem of Ambazonia.
Mark the pages of history. December 2nd, 2019 became a landmark date. The nation of Ambazonia garnered recognition from Cameroon Municipal Bareri, setting the stage for an unprecedented partnership in a bold stride towards fostering deeper ties with the people and nation of Brazil. President Sako steps into the limelight with the Brazilian press. At this critical time of war, history is poised to unfold once more. In the government's strategic plan, President Sako will take the forefront of the diplomatic outreach program through media and press initiatives, sharing insights, visions, and the dawn of a new chapter in interviews that promise to captivate. This momentous affair will be streamed continuously on ABC Amba TV for our esteemed viewers. Be part of this movement. This is a crucial aspect of our media warfare. Join us in this crusade.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly individually within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Es ist gut. Nach Ende. Schnell, ich fange jetzt an. Welcome, fellow viewers, fellow Ambazonians, fellow friends of Ambazonia, fellow well-wishers. Special greetings to our Ambazonia State Army and to all Ambazonians on home front, in home front and abroad, vying for the recognition of the total independence of Southern Cameroons that was granted us in 1961, stolen, but restored in 2017. And today, we are vying for the fact that that independence be recognized. Today, we are going to talk about another important topic about communications amongst us. Exactly the ethical way to communicate. And with me are two panelists. First of all, my name is Tom Ndula, your host for this show. I'm from Ngokotunja County, Babisi LGA, and I'm the Vice Chair of the Ethics Commission, headed by Maduro Tingwa. So with me today are two heavyweight panelists. I would say, actually, they need no introduction, but they will introduce themselves. Those are two people who have given much and are giving very much to our total independence quest. And I will allow them introduce themselves. First, Barrister Mbesea. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, for having us here, and thank viewers for listening to us. Once more, thank Dr. Mongwa for joining this able team to discuss this very important topic, because most often we ignore it, but it's the most important topic that should be handled during a time of revolution, in times of war. So thank you once more for having us. I guess almost everybody here knows me, but if somebody doesn't know me, he's a poor old man who calls himself Barrister Mbesea. Thank you once more for having us.
Good. Thank you. So over to you, Dr. Mongwa.
Thank you, Dr. Ndula. It's such a privilege for me to come on in this very important program. And I would like to thank Barrister Mbesea for all the work he's been doing to educate the people at the home front. It's again, as I said, it's a privilege for me. Communications is a key element in this revolution. And I'm so pleased that you brought it to the fore so that people can really understand what means of communications we use and why. Why do we have to do audio? Why do we have to do videos? These are all very important because each type of communication has an impact on what it is intended to do. So I'm very happy to be here. My name is Dr. Martin Mongwa. I'm the Secretary of State for Communication and IT for the government of Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. So I'm here as a participant, not as the person in charge of communication, but obviously as a head of communication, I think my contribution is very important, and I'll be here to clarify some of the issues that people may be having as far as communications is concerned. Thank you so much, and over to you, Dr. Ndula.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, before we start with our discussion for today, as usual, the intro and a recap of what we did last time. Fellow Ambazonians, we are in an existential war for the recognition of our independence that was granted to us Southern Cameroonians on April 21st, 1961, to be effective as of October 1st, 1961, but later on stolen by the powers that be by saying we should get into an independence by joining the Republic of Cameroon, leading to the unholy alliance that has led eventually to the war that we are into. We salute the courage, the bravery of our selfless restoration fighters, our Amazonian State Army, and we are very grateful for their sacrifice and for the sacrifice of everybody here in the diaspora. But even amidst war, there is ethics that is being conducted to see to it that we do everything, that we are accountable, that we are transparent, that we are morally upright, and hence ethics in an emerging nation, which is a show that we have been doing for over 2 years now. So now a recap of the last show. Last time we talked about the importance of impartiality in the various dealings of government officials and of Ambazonians in general. We reiterated that impartiality is important in building the people's confidence in their leaders, in the government, in those whom they have elected to represent them, to watch over them, and to be their servant and not to be their masters. And it was discussed that bias, which is lack of impartiality, being biased, being nepotic, favoring people while they are of your tribe or of your family or your friends, to give them government contracts, for example, that such things were very destructive for the government and servers' relationships, and are to be frowned upon, not only frowned upon, but severely punished, because we do not want to have anything to do with what is going on in La République du Cameroon in terms of corruption, impartiality, bribery, and corruption. So we also acknowledge that to be impartial, to learn how to be impartial in decision making, we have to get away from that tradition we have inherited from the evil La République regime, with whom we've been in an unholy alliance for over 62 years now, of being impartial, bribing, corrupting. It's the amount of money, amount of wealth you have, and the position you have, and the power you have that determines whether you get justice from the courts. That would not be the case in an independent Ambazonia. So we would instill that into our people, many of whom have learned such corrupt practices right at every level of the education, starting from nursery school to the university, and in all the Njangi houses, and in all the places where there are social gatherings, in the villages, in the quarters, in towns, in short, in the whole society, so that our society be morally upright, impartial, just like the Southern Cameroons was in the 50s and the 60s, before we joined La République and inherited all these vices. So that would be, and we talked about it being important as a leader, not to be a boss ordering people around, but to be a true servant of the people for whom you've been serving the purpose for which you've been elected. And being impartial is, of course, very, very important in achieving that goal. So that was it for the last show. We will delve into our discussion points proper. So there are many types of communication that are generally categorized as verbal, non-verbal, oral, and written. Barrister Mbesa, can you please give some examples of verbal and non-verbal communication? Thank you.
Thank you for having me and giving me that important question. But if you permit me, let me rephrase what we're here for. Because point one that you want me to address and point two that Dr. Mongo will be addressing are almost the same thing. So I would rather prefer that Dr. Mongo handles the two in his own episode, which I can summarize to mean the tools of communication. What do you have at hand to communicate with? And for the purpose of this struggle, because this is very important, I would rather address the basics of communication. What is communication and what are you trying to send out? And then allow Dr. Mongo to deal with the two segments, which is the tools. And what do I mean? This is absolutely important. Because we're in the face of we're in the midst of a revolution. The communication is talking to people, talking to other people, sometimes even talking to yourself. And so, where you want to talk to people or to talk to yourself, who are these people you call people other than yourself? The first thing you have to do is, what is the message you are trying to send out to the people, I will address people after, or to yourself? You have to choose a message. Again, this is revolution. We're in the struggle. I want to focus on the struggle. So what message are you sending out for this struggle? You have to choose the message, and this should be done by all of us when we communicate. What message are you trying to send? It's not just for you to take your time and sit down and make record order of things for 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't know who to me you're sending it. And so you have to choose your message. And by this you mean, is this message relevant to this struggle? You have to answer these questions, even to yourself or to the person to whom you are addressing it. Then the second aspect is the audience. To whom are you sending this message? And start with yourself. If you're addressing the message all to yourself, it is not very relevant if you're talking to yourself, because you know what you are. You're addressing yourself. You can do that in private. You can do that in your bed. You can do that in your sleep. You can do that in your dream. But if the message has to go out, if you are communicating with people other than yourself, who are these people? The first people you are communicating with or sending your message to are your own colleagues in the struggle, you and me, Ambazonians at the level of government, or in the community of Ambazonia at home or abroad. Those are ourselves. What message are you sending for this revolution? Whatever thing you want to address. Is it drafting? Is it fighting? Is it morality? Who are you talking to? You're talking to Ambazonians. So on the message that you have, if you're addressing it to Ambazonians, you should know what to do. 2, your audience might be, and very often it should be, you're addressing your message to Yaoundé, the opponent, your opponent. You must know your message and to whom you are sending it. If you're sending this message to your opponent, who's your opponent here? The opponent here is the Republic of Cameroon and their allies, their supporters. So if that message is going to them, what is the message that you're sending? Because if you don't understand this, you turn the message which is meant for them, on your colleagues. That's why I think the president has said it many times. The president is not your enemy. Don't do your attacks on the president. Focus your attack, it is an attack, on your opponent. It is an attack, the right opponent, the right person, the right audience is your opponent and the allies. So if you tend to insult me, to insult Dr. Mongwa, or any other Ambazonian, thinking that you are fighting the battle, you're not fighting the battle, because the battle Dr. Mongwa, me, President Sako, or any other person in Ambazonia is not your focus. So if you have the message to deliver and your audience is that people to Cameroon, you have to fashion it that will fit their taste. Call him an idiot, an infiltrator, a criminal, that's fine. That defeats them. But to turn those insults, if they're insults, to me, or to some other Ambazonian, is a wrong focus. So your audience is important. The third audience, which is very, very important, is the third party, what we call in general the international community in general, and our sympathizers. Who are these our sympathizers? They include countries, they include organizations, they include individuals who might do something to assist us. If the message is going to them, it has to be tailored rightly, it has to be framed correctly for them to get what you want to say. The international community is not interested to hear somebody, you call somebody a black like a criminal. No, that is not your message. That's not what the UN wants to hear. That's not what the American government wants to hear. That's not what the Brazilian government or any other government in the world that is advised wants to hear. Deliver the message that is meant for them. And this is absolutely important. Given what we learned from Linux Hints last week, and I've seen Dr. Mongwa put out a thing, a format on how to address your issue to the international community, to friendly governments, friendly organizations. So once you have this audience in your mind, how you do it shall be handled by Dr. Mongwa in his next segment. That is the tools you have to use to have the message. But again, for me to end this particular episode, get your audience right, because the audience get your message right, because not the same message goes to all the audience. No. What you're delivering to Yaoundé is not what you deliver to Dr. Mongwa, to Dr. Ndula, to even Choayaba, whoever. The message that you have for me is different as a colleague. The message that you have for Yaoundé is different, because Yaoundé is our opponent and they have the allies. They may have the same thing, trying to talk about something. The killings on the ground. Yaoundé, the way you tell them that story is not the same way that you will tell the president that, well, our fighters made a mistake here or something like that. No. So we have to determine our audience again. The way you tell Yaoundé about your problem is not the same way that you are going to tell the UK. It's not the same way you are going to tell France or to tell the United States or any government sympathetic to us. So choose your audience, frame your message, and then deliver it by the methods that Dr. Mongwa will handle. Again, as a sideline, we warn, don't talk to yourself. If the message, if your audience is to yourself, you're wasting your time. You're not fighting this revolution. Deliver, lie down in your bed, send your message to yourself, rephrase it. If you want it to reach me, let it come in a different way. Because all those institutions, Yaoundé, diplomats, international organizations, they are human beings living there. There are human beings there who are operating those things they call organizations. They are human beings. So don't start by annoying them, thinking that they will listen to you. I'm not sure that there's any diplomat in the world that you address your message to him, either by telephone call or by text or by writing, and say those are idiots. That's not their interest. They're not interested to sit there hearing you talking, insulting people. What do you want them to do? Deliver the message precisely, concisely, and it will go. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Wow, thanks very much, Barrister Mbesa. Thanks very much. I mean, you've nailed it. We are in a revolution where we've achieved a stage in our independence quest that has never been achieved in 62 years. And we are much more closer to our goal than we've ever been. So that is the time to hear such messages that we really address people well knowing we are on the right side and we are soon gaining our independence. So thank you very much. So Dr. Martin Mungwa, thanks a lot for being on board. Yes, Barrister Tim talked about all those things we are to do, not to do. And now, I mean, you as our communication guru here, how to deliver them ethically. Yes, we would like to hear from you then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Ndula. And first of all, I would like to really thank Barrister Mbesa for actually getting into the crux or into the root of the issue. Communication is key, but communication may not be valid if you don't understand your audience. Because when you understand your audience, then you know what type of communication there is to effectively transfer that information from you to your audience. If you are talking to 5-year-old kids, you definitely are not going to use language or words that they may not comprehend. Otherwise, it defeats the whole purpose of communication. Remember that communication is at the heart of leadership, because any leader who cannot communicate definitely will not hold the audience for long, or his followers, or whatever people he is trying to impress. And you can see why our head of state, Dr. Sako, is very effective in communication, because he knows exactly what words to use to make the right impact. So we are all students of communication. So every day we learn how to improve on our communication. So coming to today's subject, you asked me to talk about oral and written communication, because these are the two essential forms of expressing thoughts, ideas, and information. So I'm going to go through these two different types of communication, which we use actually almost daily. When we talk about oral communication, examples are face to face communication. If you're sitting maybe at a dinner table and talking to your family, that's face to face. So everybody has the opportunity to express their views. We know phone calls. I mean, I called Dorothy this morning to have an understanding as to how the structure of this um, presentation would look like. And the best way for me to have done it is by phone call. So at times, time is very important. You may decide to either write a letter or call. You ask yourself which is going to have the best impact. Do you want to write a letter or you want to call? Okay, so I felt that calling will have the right type of impact, because if I had to write, I don't know whether she would be at the point of delivery at the time that I needed the answer or not. So we talk about public speaking. I mean, public speaking has been one of the challenges that we have as leaders, because you should be able to stand up and express yourselves and make sure that you are in tune with what you are saying and not get routed out of your ideas. And it can be very embarrassing if you have a brain freeze talking to speaking publicly and not being able to send your message across. So when you deliver a speech in a conference, Dr. Ndula, I think you know that as a medical doctor, you go to conferences. I know how important it is for you to stand up and talk to people, or presenting even a research paper in front of an audience. These are all oral public speaking. And again, you really have to learn how to do it. It is not something that you grow up with. It. Some people may be very talented who can stand and talk without a single error. I am not one of them. So I always used to practice and practice in front of a mirror so that you can do it well. We also talk about meetings, participating in a team meeting to brainstorm ideas. We are all professionals. You know that for you to carry out a project, you don't just wake up one day to carry it out. You have to have team meetings. You have to create an agenda. You have to create a sort of a schedule, a timeline to know exactly what each person has to do. And that one needs obviously coordination. You have to coordinate these meetings. It doesn't just happen by itself. Or leading a departmental meeting to discuss strategies. I've been fond of that because of what I used to do. In engineering, we have hundreds of millions to deal with. So you have to sit down and strategize. When are you going to buy material? When is it going to arrive? When is the project going to start? Who is going to start, and so on and so forth. So these are all issues where oral communication is critical, because people want to hear what you want to do now, within a split second, not writing it and shelving it somewhere for somebody to go and read and hopefully understand. So there's an importance in oral communication. Oral communication brings clarity. Oral communication puts everybody on the same level playing field, and it gives coordination, teamwork, and so on. And finally, even video calls. I mean, this is a video call, right? So this is a good example of a video call, because we're talking via video, and we can listen to each other and we can react as to whatever we say. So holding a virtual meeting, team meeting with remote colleagues. I don't know. You're probably in Germany. I'm here in the United States, and not too far from where Mr. Mbesa is. He's in Pennsylvania and close to New York. So you can see the value of the video calls. That's another form of oral communication. Just imagine that we then have the opportunity to see each other and talk. Do you know the impact that it's going to make? The other alternative would have been to go on radio, but there you don't see people, and the impact again is different. Now people see us and people hear us instantly. So that's beautiful. So even conducting a webinar to educate participants on the topic. I'm used to holding webinars professionally. That too is something very powerful. So I've given 5 very concrete ways of oral communication. So now let me go to the second one, which you said I should give examples of written communication. Each type of communication has its positive and negatives, but you have to select the type of impact. What impact do you want to have? Okay, what impact does it want to have? I mean, just one other thing about oral communication. Remember, when I normally send out alert, alert, alert. Okay, so when people hear that alert, 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 they know that is like my key signature. So they know that something going to come out from the government of Southern Cameroon. So it's very important. So whenever they hear that, people know that something important is going to happen. So talking about written communication, you have email. I mean, we are all very used to email. We write emails, messages every day. You send a formal email to a client to confirm a meeting. We send family, you communicate with your friends and your family, even on business terms, okay? You can email either your boss, your daughter, or your wife, or anything. So email is one of the modern inventions of the 20th century that has made communication so effective, and it's pulled away the snail pace of communication that we used to have before. You have letters, you write letters to, for a job. Today is not as important as it used to be. In the past, where writing cover letters for a job was so important, and you had to learn how to write it so that you don't make silly mistakes. Okay, even sending a thank you letter, after an interview. People used to do that. Again, you use email. So you see that emails have been replacing letters gradually. People don't really have the time to actually take a pen. I don't even know how my handwriting looks like now. I'm sure if I write, I might not even be able to read it because I'm used to email. Okay, you just email it, and that solves the problem. Of course, you have reports, compiling a report for your manager, or compiling a report after an event. These are all things that we do all the time. So writing a report is a form of written communication, or even writing a research report on a specific topic or industry. Again, Dr. Ndula, I know that you in your profession, you write a lot of reports. You may write a report on an assessment of somebody who is ill, to say, okay, based on these observations, I recommend this, or maybe we need further analysis to determine exactly what the root cause of the illness is. We have memos. We have memos where you distribute a memo to staff about maybe a policy change, and having worked in corporate America for over 20 years, that's something that I'm very familiar with. So that's something like that is very important. We also have social media posts. Okay. So we can have posting a tweet about an upcoming event, even on LinkedIn. We have that's a professional website. There's a lot of information there where people share an update or something, maybe even a promotion, or maybe something, even a sad case. Like one colleague I worked with about 20 years ago, I just learned on LinkedIn that he passed away. It was a very sad event, but that was the only way, very quick, that I could understand. I also have chat messages, okay? Sending an instant message to a team member for a quick condition, or even advertising, chatting with a customer service representative for support. And we send messages all the time. Even recently, I mean, we use Messenger to send information to friends. And it's another alternative to the WhatsApp, which we also use very, very often, and so on. So each form of communication has its strengths and is used, in different contexts based on the messages, the nature of the message, the audience, and the purpose. So mastering both oral and written communication skills is crucial for effective interpersonal, and professional interaction. So this is all I think I would like to talk about as far as oral and written communication is concerned. And I hope that I've at least put a dent on this subject, and hopefully people can get the difference between the two. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mungwa. I mean, it's no exaggeration saying you are the professional in all of this. Well put. And one other thing which is, I mean, very, very important, as you talked about, is Twitter. Because as Barrister Mbesa put it, we are not there to be talking to ourselves. All of us, true Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, we know our history, we know what we want and what we've been through, and what our people are going through on the home front. But the world, the powers that be, that are the ones to decide and give us and grant us that independence that they gave and stole away, are to be reached through Twitter, that when something is sent out, it be retweeted, and new tweets be sent out. There are people who are doing a very great job out there, like Mildred Chi, who is communication, one of those communication people
Warriors.
Strong on the Twitter Amber Forum. I would invite everybody to go on that forum and then really register and retweet very important tweets from the president and from other members of government and other influential Amazonians, so that the world out there should get at it. Because when a tweet is retweeted like 100 times, then it is trending. Then people sit up and pay attention. And those are things that come into the news, and with one maximum awareness about our situation. So, Barrister Mbesa, can we say that the method of communication amongst us Ambazonians, how we've refined it all through these years of brutal genocidal war being waged upon us by La Republique, that it is responsible for all the gains, diplomatic gains, and all the progress we've made so far in terms of restructuring our government, the three arms of government, and also the fourth arm, the free press, all those activists out there. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you once more. Before I go to the topic, the topic you've given me, let me just say something on Twitter. We have been talking about communicating with our senators, writing to them. Most American politicians, if not all, are on Twitter. They have Twitter feeds. And I guess all over the world, but in Europe. So in addition to writing to your senator, you can check. They have Twitter accounts. You can tweet to them. That will go faster. It will go direct to the guy. Even if his or her congressional staff has not done it, they will receive it. So use the Twitter as well. Because as Dr. Mungwa said, we have so far involved. For example, who among us knows what is a fax machine? Who no longer fax the thing? Just the last 5 years, so much has changed. Like Dr. Mungo said, I don't even know how to write with the pen. Because if you type on your computer, the characters are the same, the commands come in immediately. There's no doubt of what you're typing. So we use those techniques as far as we were concerned. But back to what you asked me. If we are here today, 2024, in fact, let us say 2016, when the war actually started, it was due to the communication of our brothers before us, of our sisters before us. What was Abai Mukong doing? He was communicating, he was complaining in writing, he was talking to people about the evil that he was facing. That is exactly what Gojidinka was doing. He was communicating individually to people, complaining to different organizations. That's how they found themselves in the court. In the courts, International Human Rights Courts, and won the case. That was a form of communication. Fast forward came the 1990s. What was the SCNC doing? They were communicating. In fact, they had a founding principle, the force of argument, in order to communicate their ideas, their views, their facts. And that kept the revolution alive. What was Kapo doing when they went to court in Banjul, when they went to court in Nigeria? They were communicating. It is this communication that kept our plight alive until 2016, when it escalated into this form of a war. So communication has been very, very effective. Those people who did it those days were very, very effective. That's what we quote today. We don't just quote what they said, because everything was in writing. We quote their writings. Communication was important. If it was not important and remains important, I will sitting here, I will not know what happened in Fumba. Good number of us were not born. If we were born, we didn't have the ability to participate in those things. So communication has kept this struggle alive. But again, as Dr. Mungo said, we have to change with the times. We don't need to go and fax something to somebody. We don't need to go to the post office and send a letter. And to the best of my knowledge, what they call the post office in Cameroon then is even dead. You cannot post anything there because we go nowhere. So communication has been very, very useful in this struggle up to this point and remains important as we move forward with it, provided that we know the techniques to change with the times. We know what we are doing. And this will take me again back to communicating our plight to foreigners. If we are in the United States or somewhere in Europe, what I've learned from them, no United States politician is going to give you 1 hour to be talking. No. If you watch the president of the United States, I'm talking to the president, because the highest person, where he gives a press conference, it doesn't last for 30 minutes. He comes there, delivers a message on different items that he has to talk about in the world for less than 30 minutes and goes away. He will tell you about Gaza in 2 minutes, 1 second. He will tell you about Ukraine. He will tell you about Senegal. This in a short time. So if you are opportune to go to your senator or to your congresspeople or to wherever you are, give yourself the maximum of 15 minutes. Condense all you want to say in the most understandable format. Don't give yourself more than 15 minutes, because they will not sit there for you to be talking for hours and hours and hours and hours. They don't have time for that. Yes, they might be so interested to know about your history. They did not, the part of the 16, they did order. They're not interested to hear you narrate them there. If you want to make your journey shorter, write it down and send it to them. They will read it at the appropriate time. By the time they give you to talk to you, be it a congressperson, be it a senator, be it their staff, will not be more than 15 minutes. So have this. Communication is important. It has kept us alive up to this point. It will keep us alive going forward, provided that we know how to use it. We know the tools, the techniques of the tools. And so that is communication in this struggle. It has kept us alive in the past with fax machines, with the post office, with foot movement, running from Bamenda to Yaoundé to deliver a message to Fonglong, running from Bamenda from Yaoundé to Bamsa to deliver a counter message from the cardinal, or from Fonglong to people in Binka. Those events have all passed. We have to evolve and we have evolved. So that is the importance of communication. It has kept us alive. It will still keep us alive. In fact, it will take us, whether we succeed or fail, will depend on how we use that communication tool. Again, I don't know how many of us here in Ambazonia, here in diaspora, and even back home, know where the country called Austria is. Few, if any. Few, if any have not gone there. You can read in the book. But this is the Austrian president in the General Assembly talking about Amazonia. Does he not road to that place? No. But he's communicating our plight somewhere to a community of nations of 193 members. And we're quoting him here because I heard him speak. His whole allotment of time to talk at the United Nations General Assembly was not up to 30 minutes. It was not even up to 15 minutes. But he put out all what he wanted to say, including about Amazonia. So this is very important in this struggle. It's very important for all of us. Let us emulate our president. But as Dr. Mungo says, not all of us are going to be as articulate as he is. But we can try all to be as precise and concise as he is. Thank you. Over to you.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Barrister Mbesia. Yes, I mean, it's no exaggeration that what you said, that communication, effective communication, is the backbone of our getting forward and sending out the right message in the right dosage, that is forming this critical mass and yes, hammering at those at the powers that be. And we are very, very grateful to all those out there, the non-Ambazonians, helping us in this quest, like the man from Austria you talked about, who brought our case, talked about us in the General Assembly of the United Nations. So, yes, Dr. Mungwa, you already talked elaborately about communication, how it should be effected. I mean, maybe something you can add on it about the characteristics of ethical communication, because not all types of communication are effective or are good or are well spoken of. So the characteristics of ethical communication, in your view. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I would like to make a comment here before moving forward. The strength of our revolution actually lies in emerging technologies like social media. I don't think 50 years ago we could have fought this revolution the way we are doing today. It's thanks to what I call the equalizer. Social media, the rise of the internet, and the latter part of the 20th century have all contributed to us, giving us the strength to fight against injustice. And that tells you the place of communication in our world today. So the fight that we have in front of us is not just the fight that we need to use guns, but communication actually is the central theme, is at the center of this revolution. And let every Ambazonian understand this. Something happened in the beginning of this revolution that we probably have forgotten. I remember at that time, the American ambassador to Yaoundé actually advised us to take pictures, to take to compile pictures of the atrocities that La République du Cameroon is conducting on us. That was a great message, and we seem to have forgotten where this this urge to use social media to fight our cause started. That statement, that I don't know whom that ambassador was. The last ambassador, when before he was leaving, he said the only way you can fight is to document the atrocities committed by the genocidal regime or the terrorist regime of Paul Biya. And this was echoed by Professor Lennox Hines a few days ago. So, and I am happy that Amazonians listened to that and they knew that was the only weapon we had at that time to show proof that something has actually happened. And it is something that we probably take it for granted today. But had we not uh, taken to that advice, maybe this revolution would have ended somewhere a year or so later. So we listened to him, and we made sure that we were able to execute exactly what he said. Now, talking about ethics in communication, um, I thought we were supposed to talk about something else before, the importance of communication as far as Amber TV is concerned, because that's a very important thing. I think we can go beyond the number, the time that I stated. I think I've been able to inform the people I'm working with that I'll be at least 30 minutes late.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. Okay, so
Yes,
if
very
you
good.
if that's okay, I know you were you were trying to fit me in the program. So let me talk about this, because the second
All
issue,
right.
I'm going to talk about ethics later. That should be the last part. But I think supporting Amber TV, um, our best means of communication during revolution, is very, very important in several ways, which I'm really going to discuss it today. It's very important. People may not appreciate the role that Amber TV has, and it is our responsibility to keep Amber TV alive. If Amber TV dies today, the revolution is almost also gone. So this is very crucial, and because if this is our window to the world, this is how we communicate to the world what is happening in our community. So the first thing that Amber TV does is information dissemination. Amber TV plays a vital role in disseminating information to the public. It provides real time updates, news, and coverage of events, enabling our people to stay informed about important developments. That is what we do, and it's very important. The second thing we do at Amber TV is that it provides counter propaganda. Amber TV helps counter propaganda spread by Blacklegs or La République du Cameroon, okay, toxic media. It offers an alternative narrative and perspective, ensuring that the truth is presented to Amazonians. You see how powerful we are when we get information and we make sure that Amazonians know the truth, okay? Unity and mobilization. Amber TV helps in uniting and mobilizing our people towards a common goal. It serves as a platform to communicate messages of unity, solidarity, and resistance, rallying support for the revolution. Remember when they wanted to deceive us with the idea of referendum? Can you imagine the power that Amber TV had to make sure that we understood the path they wanted to put us on? And the whole Amazonia understood, and we have stayed strong. So it's very important. Imagine if there was no Amber TV, you think letters could have done it? Letters wouldn't have done this. Okay? So it also provides empowerment. Okay? Amber TV empowers our community to speak up, stand against injustice, and demand change. It gives a voice to those who are often unheard, and we are the people who have often unheard. Remember in La Republique, if I vaguely remember, the only time you hear anything in English is when they have the so-called news. And the news was not even in English. It was part French, part English. But every day we were bombarded with messages in French. And even the local FM stations only had a radius of 2 to 3 miles, which meant that somebody in Yaoundé cannot listen to a program in Bamenda. It was done deliberately because they understood the power of communication and they were in control. Now they aren't. They are not in control today. We are in control. So they can say whatever they want. Ambazonians will come to the rightful source and they will get the facts provided by even better professionals than they can ever find in La Republic of Cameroon. Safety and security. Amber Television can provide crucial information on safety and security measures, emergency procedures, and updates on potential threats. It helps in ensuring the safety and security of our people involved in this revolution. Do you know the number of times that we get critical information and I come on air with alert, 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 this is going to happen to us? Do you know the power of that? And we make sure that it goes on Amber Television, whether it is movement of troops or movement of thugs, okay, coming into our territory. We use this television to make sure that people get informed. So it's very important. Accountability. By holding La Republique du Cameroon authorities and perpetrators such as Blacklegs, ADF, and others accountable for their actions, Amber TV contributes to transparency and justice. Okay, it sheds light on human rights violations and ensures that those responsible are held accountable. It's the same thing that Professor Hines echoed when he spoke on Amber Television. People, for the first time, heard somebody who was a non-Ambazonian say that the terrorists are La Republique du Cameroon. Biya is the terrorist. And people have to get this into their minds. He is a terrorist. We are not. So, community building. Amber Television fosters a sense of community among Ambazonians wherever they are. It creates a platform for interaction, discussion, and collaboration, strengthening the bond among individuals fighting for a common cause. So whether you are in Australia or you are in Cyprus as Ambazonians, now you have a rallying point. We are all one through Amber Television. International support. Amber TV serves as a tool to garner international support and solidarity for the revolution. It helps in raising awareness globally, building alliances, and putting pressure on international bodies to take action. Professor Lennox is a good example. He told us what he was going to do in his capacity to make sure that the Kansas City 3 are released. He's going to work with a very, very, very powerful group of African Americans. And very soon you'll start seeing the impact of what he said here. In addition to the fact that we've all been advised, all you have to do is fill out that template which I provided, the name of your congressman or congresswoman, your senator, an email, and just email it. That is all you have to do. It is easy, and thanks to modern communication, this is possible. So we talk about historical record. Amber Television serves as a historical record of the revolution, documenting events, struggles, and victories. It preserves the legacy of the movement for future generations to learn from and be inspired by. Okay? And so overall, supporting Amber Television is essential for the success and sustainability of the revolution. It is a powerful tool for communication, advocacy, and empowerment, playing a pivotal role in driving positive change and bringing about a brighter future for our community. Thank you, and over to you. No, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much, Dr. Mungwa. Yes, thank you. I mean, people like Dr. Lennox are to be lauded, talking about our case and really weighing in on it and saying things the way they are. Yeah, actually, I made a mistake. The question here was destined for Barrister Mbesea. But I mean, still, I mean, as we know, a barrister always has some additions to make, some wonderful additions to make to what has been said about characteristics of ethical communication. Please, Barrister Mbesea, give us your views on that.
Yes. Before I get there, Dr. Mungwa said something. Some years back, 3, 4, 5 years back, an ambassador advised us to document all these things. Documenting is very important. But what do you do with the documents? Keeping in your box is not what you need. I will advise and strongly insist, if you write an email to your senator, to your congressman, to your president, if you're writing to a president or to the prime minister, your introductory letter must include, again, must include a reference, visit Ambazonia Genocide Library, because that one speaks larger than other things. Once they click on that thing, they will see a need to talk to you, because pictures speak louder than words. So always include that in your communication. That's what we're documented. It is detailed enough. It is sufficient for any human being living on earth to feel the pain that you are feeling. That said, let us go to ABC. ABC is doing a marvelous job. Other groups, WhatsApp communication groups, Twitter and others are doing a fabulous job. But it looks like there's something lacking somewhere. All of us in this Ambazonian government, we tend to think that where we're sitting now, calling it ethics. The ethics has all the powers to beat you, beat me, if somebody insults you, catch me or catch you and lock you up. Ethics does not have that power. I've advised to all the groups, including ABC. ABC as a board. ABC, WhatsApp groups must have their editorial policies, editorial guidelines. They have all these tools in their boxes. Before I go to ABC, if you have a WhatsApp group and you have a guideline for your WhatsApp group, all these insults that we are wanting ethics to take control, to judge, will not even arise. If, for example, your group says that it is bent on educating women, let us just take it that one, for example, or doing draft, and somebody begins to forward things into that group that don't have anything to do with education of women, or don't have anything to do with that draft, that group has the power to take you off without consulting the president, without consulting ethics, without consulting anybody, because you are violating their guidelines, their policy, their principles. They take you out, maybe for a length of time, for 2 weeks, for 1 week, for a few days, or hours. Or did you delete the information? Those are the weapons that you're in your toolbox. I can see this. The vice president has set up a group, a WhatsApp group, essentially for the drafting. If you put something there which is not on drafting, he simply takes it out. As simple as that. And so that will go to other groups. Each group must have an editorial policy. Implement it without going to ethics. This should be the same thing to ABC. You don't go on ABC, insult people, talk evil about other people, tell lies, and expect ethics to take action. Ethics probably will take action, but the action what you have in your toolbox as ABC is stronger than whatever action ethics could take. First, ethics is going to take weeks, if not days, to address your issue. Whereas you on ABC, you could handle that within seconds. If the guy or the individual or the group violates your policy, take them out for a fixed period of time, for 72 hours, for 1 day, for whatever length of time is in your policy. That would have answered that thing. If the guy feels that he or she has been wrongly taken out, it is he or she who is taken out who should complain to ethics. That way they wrongly took me out. It will take about 1 week, 2 weeks for us to hear the matter in the ethics. But let the ABC use tools, these weapons in their toolbox. If we have to use that, we will not have all this. You find people forwarding irrelevant information. If they delete it twice, and you, the guy forwarding it, things that is so important, you will call the ABC board coordinator, whoever is there at the end and say, I'm selling this thing for this, I'm selling this thing for this reason. They will reinstate you within seconds, within hours, if they are not necessary. So to use these tools that we have in our box to manage speech. Because some of the things that people say, they are not intended to hurt you. But because we're in a revolution, people just get angry. They put out things that were not supposed to be put. They are not intended to harm you, the individual. But let our forum or administrators, let our board chairs, let our different groups that operate have their own policy, the editorial policy, with which you can control the speech that we have, within which you regulate what we send out, and are able to contain what is unwanted, promote what is beneficial to the struggle. That's all I can say about that. And I think the groups should take note of this. Take the example of what the DP did, where he created the forum, purely WhatsApp group, purely for draft. He comes there, it is not draft, he takes it out. He might be angry, but you soon realize, oh yeah, I've seen people complain, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You simply go out. Then that is how we will move. We have to try to control our tempers. We have to try to control ourselves, regulate our anger, and then we'll be focused. I'm not sure that all those insults that people put there are intended, but sometimes they go beyond the point that it can be considered an error. If one is insulting women, not just insulting women like that, oh, what a woman, all this stuff, no. And you take off that guy, he will be angry. He'll come back to you and say, well, we don't accept insults here. You're off. We'll not bring you back, promise not to do this thing again. You have 24 hours, you have 72. Whatever length of time is your policy, the guy will comply. The guy will comply. Even if he doesn't, he will learn a lesson that there's a consequence for doing the wrong thing. On that forum was intended to promote something good. It was never intended for you to insult their people. And when I hear your child, I dealt with him, oh, I dealt with her. Well, as I said earlier, she that you're insulting, he that you're insulting, is not your opponent in this struggle. So what do you benefit? That you insulted Madam A, you insulted Mr. A on the WhatsApp forum, which is essential to promote the forum. Why not carry your insults and put a pub here? Or his acolyte? So again, it goes to what I said earlier. If you determine your message, determine the person to whom you're praying, you should not beat yourself. Insulting me is insulting yourself because we're all the same battle. It's like we are moving as a team, and somewhere by mistake I fall on your leg, and your leg is broken, you start to insult me. No, that was not intended. So let us use the tools that were boxed in our toolboxes to make sure that the messages out are rightly done. The individuals who are going astray are put back to the line, and we will go further and faster. That's all I can say for this segment, sir. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very, very much, Barrister Mbeseha. I mean, well put. The thing is, as I remember, we've been doing this ethics show for a long time, and we've invited heads of departments, county heads, and other dignitaries to come and then let's talk about ethics, to inform them and make them know that there is to be a copy of the Ambazonian Constitution with them and a copy of the Code of Ethics, Code of Conduct, Ethical Conducts governing the whole of Ambazonia, especially our leaders. And those copies should be there. They are not only there to be, put up like some document, but to be used and to be used on people, on sanctioning people, as you rightly said, Barrister Mbeseha, when something arises, because before it comes to our attention at the Ethics Commission, it might have been spread all around, and that person might have convinced some of our enemies or those sitting on the fence. So we should put things right away by disciplining such people, removing them from forums and stating why, so that others may know and then not do the same mistakes again. Yes. Yeah. So, Dr. Mungwa, yes, a question we used to ask our departmental heads, that ethics is very important, the smooth running of every department. If the ethics, if the Department of Communication, your department, which you chair, if it has an ethics commission, an ethics agency, and how you people concretely go about unethical behavior in ABC. We remember our former Secretary of State who was so unethical that he refused coming to the Ethics Commission even when summoned. So I would like to know how people are doing it to avoid such repetition. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dula, once more. And thank you, Barrister Behesa, because you've actually provided the foundation of ethics. That is not just something that we have to allocate it to one external department like the ethics committee, but it's something that should be enshrined through the motto, through the vision and the values. Because when you have a motto, you have a vision, and you have values. These are all ethical to they guide you. And I don't want to go into so much detail about what happens in ABC, but there are some aspects that we look into, and we make sure that people who work at ABC, they must work in the framework of honesty, transparency, confidentiality, accuracy, respect, and accountability. These are the guiding rules. And of course, like every human endeavor, there's always time for people to be reminded because of things that may happen in the hour. And people say things that were not actually meant to be said. And obviously, at such moments, they have to be accountable. That's where accountability is, in the sense that you will be reminded, you will be told exactly what is wrong. And if it was something by error, you can apologize, or you can go to a specific disciplinary committee and discuss it and how it should be effected. It is important that ethics is not something that is just going to be stagnant there. People have to be kept. They should be reminded all the time. And I wish we had all the resources in the world, or even given the status in which we find ourselves, in the sense that there's an agenda, there's a sort of priority. I would have actually encouraged that we should have ethics training from time to time to remind people of their responsibility, so that they know that when they are talking to the world, it means a lot, because you can change the face of this revolution by saying just one word or just one sentence. And therefore, should they really have to be cautious about what they say when they're on air. I think in the past several weeks, we've been troubled by some of the things that people say. I'm aware of them. But again, we are trying to build institutions, strong institutions, not strong personalities. So when people don't hear me speak, it doesn't mean that I'm not aware of it. But I just want to make sure that it takes a normal course, so that it's not like somebody who wants to be all over the place trying to fix everything that has gone broken, because we're all human beings. And this is a voluntary service, it's pro bono. Okay. And so we understand that, and we are taking the same approach that President Sako is taking. He's aware of everything that's happening, but again, he looks at it from a very humanistic perspective. He knows the dangers of making certain statements or taking certain radical action. It may not be even for our good. So we weigh the pros and the cons, and we try to balance this ship to make sure that it gets to its right destination. So far, I'm very proud of uh, ABC Television, including your department, because you're all part of ABC, you're all part of communication, and all the other programs that I listen to on a daily basis. I may not listen for the entire, I take samples of what people say and the reactions that I read. And that gives me confidence that we are on the right path. And I wish, uh, as Secretary of State for Communication and IT, I shouldn't be coming on television all the time. Let the system work. without my presence, unless there's something so critical that my presence will make an impact on how it's going to be felt. Of course, I'm ready to come on this show. Yeah, I was told about 12 hours ago to show up on this program, and I know the importance, and that's why I showed up, because I know the value of this to Ambazonians, and also to let Ambazonians understand that we're not just sitting there and not looking at what is happening all over the place. When the time comes, we will bring our heart hitters to make sure that the information is sent across. So, as I said, it will be wonderful even to have an ethics consultant. I believe that the Department of Ethics, you are our consultants. So we will, if something is so crucial, that we may even ask you to talk to somebody so that that person understands where we are coming from, to make them understand that this ship is for everybody. It's not for individuals. It's not about me. It's not about me coming up here and speaking all the time. We want to make sure that those who are the deliverers, those who deliver, okay, the delivery channels, like Mr. Mesa, he's here all the time as a lawyer. The world is ruled by law, and for many people, have you ever thought about where the law ends, what will happen after? Total chaos. And that's why La République du Cameroon is in chaos, because there's no law. People have no idea about law. They're all in a jungle. Put this, and any system that is in a jungle is bound to fail.
Yeah.
Even empires failed partially because of the law, and of course debt. So we are on the right path. And again, I thank Mr. Mbeyesa and all of you who never hesitate to come on air to talk on some very important topic that is relevant to our revolution. Thank you, Dr. Ngula. Over to you.
Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Mungwa. Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful report. Yes. Barrister Mbesa, you have anything to add onto it on the ethical nature of our only authentic voice of the revolution, or ABC Amba TV?
Yeah, I don't have much to add. I can only emphasize in a few words what I've said in the last 1 hour. That when you communicate for the purpose of this struggle, choose your audience, refine your message to suit them. If you have the opportunity to meet a stranger, a sympathizer, a government, put the precise message you need. Make sure you give all the information. You don't have more than 15 minutes to do that. Preferably, write what you want and send it to them in advance. And in that writing, your first paragraph should always include AmbazonianGenocidelibrary.com. For pictures there will speak louder than whatever thing you say. Thirdly, I've said and insist, let all the communication tools that we have, including ABC, WhatsApp, Twitter, whatever form we are using, let us self-regulate. Let us become our police people, where we can take action without waiting for the mighty or ethics commission to meet in 2 weeks, in 1 month, or in 6 months. So if we have these internal rules, the insults that we've gone through, the out of control communication would be half almost regulated. That said, again, to say goodbye to all of us for today, remember, I've always said this: hate my face, but like the message. The message is what's important. I'm not your enemy. I might deliver it differently in a different form. But look at the fine print of what I'm trying to say. I also look at the fine print of what each of us is trying to say. For we have only one enemy, like Republic Cameroon. And we have friends and sympathizers. Let us be careful what we say. And of course, let us draft and draft and draft to be able to sustain this this avenue, the APC. Without money, we will not have any APC talking. So we have to give them our full support, financially, morally, and otherwise. And thank you for having us. I hope someone has learned something. Some people have learned something. All of us have learned something. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Barrister Mbesa. I mean, thank you. We are slowly coming to the end of this show, unfortunately. I mean, with both of you, each a heavyweight in his field, we are in the safest hands, and we've had very, very useful information and practical tips on how to go about building a very ethical nation, even as we are still a government in exile, and our nation is still under the occupation of the genocidal La République regime. So thank you very much for all your contributions. Yes, I would like to call upon people to each say some final words before I read the what we have for today, a section of our ethical code of conduct. Yes, starting with you, Dr. Mungwa, please.
Thank you, Dr. Ndula. The new country, Ambazonia, we are creating now, or taking us out of La République du Cameroon, comes out with a very distinct identity, the recognition and the respect for ethics. This is something that I can tell you, it will probably take La République du Cameroon 1,000 years. In other words, never. They have no idea about ethics because the condition that they have, the environment they have created, provides no seed for the ethics plant to grow. And this is something very important. And it is at the basis of the equality we are creating in Ambazonia. It ties in with ethics. You can never talk about equality without ethics. So whatever political or whatever that they are drumming in La République du Cameroon, they know that it will never filter into our community because they lack the fundamentals of ethics. And you cannot have law without ethics. So I don't want to go any further than this. We are distinct from La République du Cameroon by the fact that we recognize ethics. And by recognizing ethics, it means that we recognize the importance of the individual before the law. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mungwa. Yes. Barrister Mbesa, please, your closing remarks.
I think I almost said what I needed to say, but let me say something to conclude, if you want me to. Again, at this stage of our ethical value, of our struggle, we're looking for international support. I say choose your message. The international community or strangers don't like insult. In fact, when you're making your case against the Republic, you don't add a cent by calling their president a thief. You don't add anything there by saying that they are gangsters. Once you say that Resolution 1608, for example, was like this, it is not respected, they understand you. So when you start to insult people, you get on the nerves of your listeners. They don't like that. So be polite. Put your message as politely as possible. We are different from them. And I'm sure if you watch your shows, they are learning a lot from us. They have never been ethical. They have never been civilized. They have been nothing. They believe in lies. But our case that we are trying to tell in the most ethical manner is essentially legal. It is essentially just. We're not lying. We're just giving the facts as they are. So communicate to your friends. Again, take home lesson. Insulting Omali or insulting me is not bringing you nearer any form or shape to the solution of our problem. If you must insult, which I don't think is necessary, insult the enemy. Don't insult your sympathizers. Don't insult your colleagues. Let us be moderate. Let us be different from them. We'll talk to them. Why they kill us? Doesn't make a difference, of course. If you see the Ambazonian Genocide Library, which is not our creation, we are reporting events as they are. They are documented events of what happened to us. They will not rise up to say, well, we want to burn down villages. They will not rise up and say, well, we want to cut the head of Tom Sawyer. They will not want to say, no, Ambazonian want to capture Wazizi. So that is a message for us. And again, I insist, let our communication structures be self-disciplined, be self-policed by putting out the guidelines that you and me would not run through it. And that if we do, there's some consequence. It does not mean a crucifixion. Now, something can be done to bring me to order, to bring you to order. I think we take these guidelines on the ethical part of it. Our communication will be very, very good. We would have communicated our rightful messages to ourselves, our rightful messages to the other, to our audience, be it the international community, or even Yaoundé. People in Yaoundé are listening to us. It's not everybody who is phobia who has no ears. Even among the Bulus and the Betis, they are listening to us. So that is the message we send to our people. Let us continue doing the right thing. And again, as I've said before, this is ABC. Let us draft and draft and draft to keep it alive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mbesa. Thank you.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.